Hello, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and it is Friday, February the 16th, right? Oh God, I know I've said the wrong date a couple of times recently. 2018.
I have no idea. Can I help you?
Say what? You cannot help me. Oh.
No.
I don't know that there is any help for me.
No.
And yes, it's been another laugh fest off camera, so I apologize. Coming in laughing. And I am joined this evening again by my friends BZ Rieger and Lisa Flamino Rush. And they have kept me in stitches. Okay. Okay, so we're back to, and I don't even, y'all are going to have to take over for a minute because I'm still stuck on what I said. We were going to talk about doubt, I'm crazy, expansion, I've got this. Holding those two thoughts all in the same sentence, correct? Mm-hmm. Because, you know, because then when your brain explodes like mine did, just y'all are both being very quiet and not helping me at all. Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's a little warm in here.
Actually, I think there might be a reason for all this laughter. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's like all of a sudden there was all this laughter, and it really has carried over into this recording, and I'm not even sure why.
I can't even breathe.
It's expensive.
Well, I know. So BZ, you gave us some thoughts earlier today, mm-hmm. And actually, when you came in the room, the first thing this evening, we were talking about this one because you emailed this to Lisa and I.
Yes. And
right before we started recording, before I had the laugh fit, I recognized these. Holding this, doubt and I'm crazy and also expansion, I've got this all at one time. I asked you, I said, well, this kind of sounds like that flip-flopping thing I was doing. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, this is, it's a little bit different in that because one of the things that was coming to mind when I was He's carrying on the laugh festivity.
I see. Yeah. Okay. And your microphone's not picking up again for some reason.
Okay. How's that?
That's a little bit better.
A little better.
Okay. So this is kind of another phase of as you're working on expansion.
Yeah.
And you've been doing some integrating, you've been cleaning out some stuff. You are starting to have more responses to within your physical body and your external to the different light encodements that are coming in. Some people refer to them as, ascension symptoms and stuff like that. And so you're really kind of, dancing right along, tooting right along, however you hold it, right? So things are going good. This is good. And all of a sudden, you might be having a conversation with somebody, or you might kind of be having a conversation with yourself or in meditation or wherever it is. It can occur lots of different places. Mm-hmm. And you'll feel this feeling of really doubting yourself all of a sudden. So maybe if it's in a conversation, someone says, well, I'm not certain. And I've been thinking I'm kind of losing my mind, or I'm really nuts, or do you think I'm crazy? Or, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then almost right on the heels of that, you have, maybe whatever someone says or however, whatever the exchange that's happening. And it can be just you can be the only one there. You don't have to have someone else there for this to
Yes.
occur or for you to work through it. Is a very expansive feeling within your body where you can feel your hands tingling, you can feel this rush of energy, you can feel a relaxing in your heart, a kind of a warm and comforting and oh, you're doing good thought. And you can have this, it's almost like maybe you could say as a seesaw or a push me pull you, or kind of they're jumping on each other, stepping on each other's toes because they're almost leapfrogging, but they hit each other's toes on that.
Yes.
And this is a fairly common thing if people are willing to notice it in themselves and maybe then have a conversation or whatever.
Right.
Because what you're doing is you actually are you've made it to a point where, and this is only for you, it's not better than somebody else, or it has nothing to do with hierarchy or anything. It's just within your own evolution that the predominant frequency vibration that you're holding has gotten higher and is steady there, and then has gotten higher and is steady there.
Yeah.
And so if you were to glance at it kind of on a more linear scale, you might say, okay, well, what you're doing is you're holding a frequency vibration that has taken you out of the most part of third dimension, and you're more in a fourth dimensional, fourth density frequency bandwidth and vibration.
Right.
And we've spoken about things that are occurring and that like to hang out in fourth density, fourth dimensional frequency vibrational bandwidth, such as that's where the money spell is, that's where the trapping mechanism is, that's where a lot of jinn hang out there, a lot of different things. A lot of shenanigans go on there, a lot of entities that come down into the third to mess with things and come from there. So some people hold it as purgatory. Some people hold it as that in between, kind of your well, that's kind of what purgatory is. You're stuck in that
Right.
heaven and hell place. And so anyways, those feelings are good indicators that you're in there.
Yes.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it actually brought up another question for me. So if one was to think in terms of heaven and hell, because that's what you just said, and fourth dimension is purgatory, well then would one think of third dimension as hell?
Could, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot of hellish experiences going on here.
The reason I asked that question, quite frankly, is because I used to go around and say that this was hell. Now, I didn't mean, it's not like I was trying to create it or anything. I was, in my younger days of looking for the answers in regards to religion, I had this feeling that, I actually said the words, this is like school. It's like hell, and the whole idea is to get the hell out of here. And so so when I started hearing things about ascension, I thought, okay, well, so that's what that is. Now, I was always under the impression or the feeling and in learning different things, always thought that ascension was the, ascending out of the body into the heavenly realm, because that's also kind of the way it's portrayed in all those religious books and a lot of the New Age books, the same thing. That's what that is. So all of a sudden I'm seeing this now as another one of those twists on almost all of those things, only this is, it's an embodiment process and a moving of frequency all at the same time. Am I?
Yeah, and a whole bunch of other things too.
Right. Right. And I know I've oversimplified it, but I mean, in regards to what I personally was thinking earlier, well, not earlier, but
previously.
Yeah, almost 5 million lifetimes ago, it feels like. Um, yeah, and in my other linear portions of me.
Well, in one perspective, the perspective that this is hell and you create your own hell and it's right here, you don't need to go down anywhere down there, is a very valid perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah, because like you said, Lisa, lots of hellish things.
And we're not, here's another thing. If you're trying to escape this, you'll never escape this. Because consciously expanding your consciousness and coming into coherence and resonance with the truth of who you are doesn't escape anything. It doesn't choose to escape anything.
No.
This is beautiful. This is a magical, fantastic, really hot ticket ride for all of the expansion that it offers. Could some of that at the same time be described as hellish? You bet. Absolutely. That doesn't negate what it is, though. And I can say that because I'm coming from a broader perspective that can hold that 3D hell, because I am one hell of a creative being, and I really did a bang up job of creating hell. I was good at it.
Yeah.
So I have direct experience of knowing of that.
Yeah, me too.
So if you're holding it that it's something to escape, to run an oft held phrase is, well, I just want to be in the fifth dimension. I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. I just want to be in the fifth dimension. Well, the fifth dimension is not a place that, if that's your languaging, and that's that languaging, right? Remember, does it matter what you give voice to? Yeah, you bet, because now it's bringing it into matter. That the frequency vibration of that is pulling you very far away from the fifth. You can't get there.
Right.
It's not a place to escape to.
No.
So actually, what I'm hearing you say really then is, well, almost with everything, you have to admit there's an issue first, and then, but okay, so again, hearing some of those questions or some of those thoughts, my own actually at one point in time, saying that, well, I didn't create this. I don't want to be here. That's not, I'm not, because that sounds very victim-like to me. And so the whole idea for me personally then is to say, well, yes, actually, because I've been very clear with myself. I have been very clear with anyone that will listen, actually, in regards to the fact that I have created everything that I have experienced, every single thing. I am now very well aware of that for myself.
And you can't get to the fifth dimension as a victim or a victimizer, because that only goes on in the third dimension. You own your experience in the fifth dimension. So if you can't own it here, you will never get there. You can't arrive to the fifth dimension without that.
So same thing. So again, you can hold a perspective, if you hold a perspective that you're a victim and I didn't do any of this and someone's done it to me, that's an absolutely valid perspective. Is that an expanded perspective? No. Is that a broader perspective with more knowing in it and tuning into the truth of who you are? No. But that does not negate in any way, shape, or form that it's a valid perspective.
Oh, I see. But the valid, but, okay. However, being
Valid does not mean desirable.
Right.
or valid does also, I mean, I don't know. It's valid that this is a pin, but this pin's not going to get me to the fifth either, right? I mean,
Right.
okay.
So when you're in that, when you hold that perspective, that's it has an energetic frequency to it. So if you're holding that perspective and you can, at least for a moment, comprehend, cognize the fact that that's a frequency vibration. So like, if you know, which is a note on a piano or something is, so that, you know, has a certain
chord,
la sound to it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And you say the same, so the same being is saying, I just want to go to the fifth dimension. Well, that has, not you saying that, but the fifth dimension itself has a frequency vibration that is not the same as this one is, well, you know, I'm the victim perspective. They are not. They are actually mutually exclusive of each other, because you cannot get there. And if you managed for a little bit to raise your frequency enough to get in there, excuse me, you cannot reside there. It's part of, just like there's, you know, just like we've talked about the, you know, non-interference clauses and so on and so forth, that each of us start to embody as we hold that. It's not allowed, that frequency is not allowed to dwell in the fifth, because it's an anathema to it. Just they don't connect. They're shearing forces for anyone else there, and for yourself it's not the same. So it's an actual change. You had mentioned too, Sheila, that in your upbringing, you know, you fly off and go to heaven, because we're on this heaven and hell kind of thing. And what we're talking about is the fourth, the purgatory in the middle. So along with that same kind of thing, people are thinking, well, they're going to just go to sleep and wake up one day, and they're going to go, oh, wow, you know, I'm blonde all of a sudden, and you know, oh, look, these are nice, and wow, I'm, you know, and it's so magic. And so again, on the one hand, that has some truth to it, but you are the one who takes you there. You are the one who commits and does. The way I would say it is, you play in those energies, and you swim, and you, like a dolphin, and you dance, and you keep getting higher, and you go, and you can go in different levels, and you are the one who does that. But you can't think to do it. You have to actually do it. You actually have to be it and then do it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, it's the reason what you're seeing here is that I'm realizing, I'm thinking how I'm gotten the expansion that I've experienced so far, and I'm relating that to what you're saying here. The realizations that I've had in regards to reframing my perspectives, and how that has helped me to, that is a part of that swimming and playing that you're talking about. For me, it has been.
Well, and I like, just to get back to what BZ was saying earlier about, you know, that, like, let's just use the victimizer example again. That's a valid perspective. You could say there's truth in that statement, but it's very limited truth. It's just looking at a tiny piece of the truth and then saying, that's all I am. This little teeny speck on a freckle is all that I am. Whereas the expanded point of view says, I played victim, I played victimizer, but I don't anymore because that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an embodiment of the victim victimizer and a moving beyond that frequency. Because see, I victimized myself in all of the hellish experience that I had because of the perspective I was holding. And when I changed my perspective, I realized I am neither a victim nor victimizer.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I play in that energy and I hold that frequency and I create with that frequency, then the more I build and create myself in the fifth dimension. And then when I allow myself to sink down into lesser thoughts of myself, I think that's what BZ was saying. So how like 1 minute I am the creator being and I create my world, but I'm a little crazy and I'm not. And so there's not a full embodiment of it. There's an awareness, yes, but it isn't a fully playing that song full time, oh, all the time. It's more of a oh, 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 oh.
Right.
And then in that, yeah, I'm a singer, not. But in that discordant energy is that fourth dimension of where those beings reside that can, kind of like when you were saying that, BZ, I really thought of that night in Tennessee for me when I went into doubt and I could feel that I was here solidly for a week and almost 2 weeks, really, really embodying who I was and knowing it. To all of a sudden that doubt was like a nosedive. and I just went into this murky water and felt a little drowny. So I know exactly what you're saying now. I mean, I really felt the difference of that.
Right.
And I really want to own my fifth dimensional awareness because that's really what it is. It's an awareness because if I'm multidimensional, I really exist on every dimension. And
Yes.
my goal here is to be aware of myself on every dimension. And
Right.
again, that's about the perspectives or the frequencies that you're allowing yourself to hold and then to embody in that moment.
And that you're committed to holding the highest
Yes.
vibrational frequency.
Thank you. You must be committed.
And then you keep going up. And so that you can, and the fifth is nowhere near a place to stop. So people just kind of hang their hat on that. It's a
right
off, passed around. And
it's the destination. No.
Yeah, no, it's really not.
Look, I just figured out that I was swimming in purgatory. Could we let me get to the fifth and then take it from there? I mean,
okay.
Gotta get a break.
Well, one of the reasons that this is, it raised its hand and said, "Hey, come play with me." So it being number 5 on this list, it being the, this particular conversation, because for many beings, a whole big slew of beings right this moment have been, whether they're committed to it or not, whether they're consciously actively doing it or not, they have been, because they're on Gaia, and as I keep saying, she's going up and they haven't jumped off her back yet, so they are swimming and playing in those energies. And so this, when you're in this region, when you get this doubt and I'm batshit crazy, or wow, I got this and I like this and I'm not sure about all of it, but I feel different and I feel stronger and I feel bigger and I feel love and I didn't feel none of those things, but I really don't deserve this, or so you really just the way you've seen me go back and forth right there. That's an example. It can go that fast, which of course really exacerbates that I really am crazy, because look at this. I mean, I'm talking to myself right out loud. I'm here, I'm there, okay. And so that's why it's really important to play with this so that people can recognize it, they can see that there is a light side to it, that you can laugh about it, and that you can notice it. Because if you choose to, and it's all a choice, if you choose to play more with I'm doubting myself, or oh, I'm crazy, or you know, or look at them, they're crazy, or when you go someplace and you write a comment about something because it's triggering something in you, right? To write a comment, you know, whatever it is that is in this doubting, you know, crazy kind of a thing, you are choosing to carry and play in that frequency vibration of that.
Yeah.
And if you keep choosing that, if you keep focusing on that, because it's all energy, then you're a creator being and you are the director of your vessel.
Yep.
And so it's going, okay, well, I guess that's where we're playing now. And this isn't a scare thing. This isn't an alarmist thing. It's just simply an act of love to say, notice where you're playing, and do you really want to do that? Because these are some of the things that's in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, this is purgatory. So in the neighborhood, you may think that the cast of characters and the shenanigans that go on there are cool. Okay, great. You know, but if you actually notice and someone's given you, you know, some inklings of what's there, you may choose differently.
So the straddling, or the is it, because I've pretty much felt like I'm not playing in the 3D. I'm not totally out of the linear, obviously, but I don't feel like things in the 3D linear have been affecting me as much. In other words,
Right.
But I'm also very well aware that I'm not consistently in the 5 either.
Nice choice of words right there. Very nice choice of words right there. I'm just going to mark those words. That was very nice choice of words. So say what you said again.
Well, I'm noticing that I'm not consistently in the 5.
Okay, so hang on. I'm going to stop you right there because this is really important. So you didn't say I'm not in the 5. I'm not getting the 5. I'm not there yet. You said a very expansive statement, which is, I notice I'm not consistently, and that's beautiful. That actually shows that you are where you may dabble a little in the frequency vibration of 4th dimensional things and maybe some 3rd dimensional frequency, right? So density. So this is a vibratory thing. So I don't have a musical instrument, but you know, if we played a key, you know, and you had a note on a piano, and maybe I'll call up some kind of keyboard that I can start to do that. So if you hit a middle C, or you hit it has a vibration. The reason that your ear hears that is the frequency of the sound vibrates at a certain level, and it has a certain frequency to it. It has colors and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So what we're talking about, that it has a vibrational frequency to it. So it's not like you're climbing a ladder and going down. You are energetically, you are in a frequency wise. And as you start to broaden your noticing, your understanding, your knowing, your sight in various different ways, your hearing in various different capacities, you will see it actually is like that, because it's an energetic frequency ladder. But rather than someplace where you have to kind of go, you know, standing on the top of a 6-foot ladder to be in the 5th, 6th dimension, you know, it isn't really like that. You know, you have that plateau, and then you can go play in, but not be of 3rd dimensional or other kinds of things.
I see now.
Could, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, while you were saying that, I was even thinking of it as being harmonics, tone. So you've got your individual tones, but the more that you include, so remember, I was saying your perspective is really, really teeny and really, really narrow. When you include more and you say, this is me and this is me and this is me too, and all of this is me, and oh, look, this is me, your song is getting, the harmonics are, now it's there's more than just one tone. There's 4 tones, 5 tones, if you will, because you've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a different song. And and that's again about expanding your frequency. So I'm including more of me in my song now.
Absolutely.
And then you can feel when you're limiting, because it's very contracting, it's very limiting, and then including more in your song. So like the universe has a song because all that is all the tones. So there's the one song, and that's the breath of it. Like in my meditation today, I was practicing going from my linear perspective, my teeny me laying on the bed, and then very slowly expanding me out to everything till I included all that is. And that feeling, so I went from how I felt laying in the bed to how I felt as everything, was a very completely different feeling. And it's almost hard for me to come back and put it all back in here once I spend some time in that expansive feeling. So it's almost like all the notes, and so the 5th dimensional song is just it includes more. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you are, one way to phrase it is you are you're really big right this moment and you're having fun.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of, so for some who play with us a lot, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyways, so you are the music of the spheres, which is all the language of light, the music of the spheres. And it's interesting, you gave that beautiful illustration of little you laying on the bed and expanding, and you said it's hard for me to be out here and then come down in here. Okay, well, yes, but so expand it and play with it a little bit, Lord. What you actually are doing is bringing all of you in down here.
Yes.
And so that's why the shirt, you in the shirt is expanding, cleaning out, clearing out, integrating, right, from a cellular level, all that stuff, so that there's room for
making
all
more
of you
room
to come in. And your whole body is actually reconfiguring, totally transforming all of the stuff that you're made of.
Yes.
Structural cellular level into more quantum stuff. You're changing from a carbon structure, right?
Yes.
To a crystalline plasma structure. There's different levels to this, but so that's what's actually happening. And when that is occurring, because you are making the commitment to hold your predominant frequency vibration at a higher rate and a higher rate and a higher rate, so you're ascending.
Yes.
Okay. At the same time, all of you that you were playing with today is descending or imploding into you, and you are merging. And when, we've talked about this before, when those two come together, you create the Trinity, because the third, which is wholly new creation, a new being, comes from that, which is the factualized, individuated part of you, which is source
embodied
in a way that's complete, in the sense that there is no veil, there is no amnesia, there is no any of that missing.
Aware of itself as the individual and the all simultaneously.
Right. And that's where the immortal part comes in, because as long as you choose to hold, this particular vessel, you choose to do that. However,
and that's a big frequency. That's a lot of tones in this little body. Yeah, it's a lot. But not impossible, apparently.
No, it's not. But it's a big thing. So that's why I like to, if we can, have the frequency envelopes that we open up kind of be short-ish and contain just certain things. So we're playing in this one of the fourth and the I'm crazy and I'm
okay, sorry.
No. I'm just saying I'm worried, right? Or I'm expansive. So you're doing it, right? We've got, in the two screens here, Lisa's playing. Oh, whoa! Hey now, and Sheila's going. Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Well, that's right. Yes, Sheila is, and this is so because I've been sitting here thinking, okay, wait a minute. I said that, and you pointed it out, that I gave a beautiful illustration, and I have been trying to watch my language. However, when I said that I noticed that I'm not consistently in the 5, I wasn't watching my language. I just said it. It's not like I was, making any kind of an effort, which I have been, paying
But you see,
attention.
that's the point.
And that's the sign that you have leveled up, baby. Because now you're holding that frequency consistently. It is now a new vibrational frequency set point for you that is now habitual.
So the language,
hanging out in the 4th,
no. The languaging.
Oh.
So that kind of languaging, it's not in the same resonance field to use. So because you're playing with, okay, I'm in the 4th, and I can see the C sign that she's talking about and all that kind of stuff. So you went with the lower step down of that, of a higher frequency, which was, I'm not consistently doing it, which in and of itself, why I marked it, is an illustration of a shift. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, it does.
A leveling up.
Right. The fact that I did it.
Go back to the flip-flop.
A little unconsciously, actually.
Yeah. As a habit now.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a habit to structure on a new level.
Huh. Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yay.
Okay. So I'll notice that and mark that, and thank you very much. And that's cool. I'm ready to get out of purgatory. Thank you.
So another way to look at it is when you recognize that, so you're recognizing it.
Right.
And because your brain has shifted and changed, because it has expanded from a physiological, cellular level, right? It has reshaped, remapped, electrodes and electromagnetically synapsed, right? All those linear terms that we give it.
New patterns.
When the brain fired on discussing what you were describing, so you were giving voice to something, it could not fire on a languaging that was down here. You can't see my hand, but down here. Right. It had to fire on something that was much more in line with, on the same languaging frequency trajectory that you're predominantly carrying. Does that make sense?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And and I know that we're about to close this energetic envelope, but there was one other thing. Lisa brought up the holding of more notes in a song. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I began noticing years ago now, and of course I still notice on the daily level, and I'm sure a lot of folks can relate to this, is the notes and tones that we are experiencing, and that so that is also related to that expansion of holding those notes, the music of the spheres, so to speak.
Yeah. One way to think of it too on music. So have you ever listened to a, even if you were just in grade school music class, right? So they play a piece of music, it's in band or whatever, right? They play a piece of music, and then they have different recordings of it that drop out different sections of the orchestra. So you hear the whole thing where it's got the whole thing, you just hear it for a moment, you think, and then they just start with maybe it's piano, or maybe it's guitar, or maybe it's got the violin section, or, and so they'll add the different pieces in, and you start to realize, because, well, if you aren't rolling your eyes and, throwing spitballs and all that kind of stuff, you start and you actually play with the harmonics of what you're hearing, right? You actually start to visualize. I think it's one of the only thing that I like about Disney was in Fantasia, there's a scene where Mickey is orchestrating the colors of the symphony, and he strikes his baton, and he just and I remember watching that and being struck in a visceral heart level. Think what you want and know what you know about Disney, and for those who know what I'm talking about, they get it, and for those who are going, you should go do some research. But regardless of that particular scene is a beautiful. Remember, everything has to be hidden in plain sight, both the nefarious and the wondrous. So that is a very clear illustration and depiction of just what I'm talking about, Lisa and I, what we're all talking about, which is the language of the song of the spheres, right? The universal cosmic song. And it's within all of us. Yeah. And so you play it, you hear it, feel it, experience it in different ways. Sometimes you never hear it in an auditory way. Sometimes you always do. Sometimes you'll do more of that. But using the metaphor of music and the metaphor of a symphony and the metaphor of all of those instruments, which create all of the different resonances within each instrument itself, within the related instruments in that thing, because some are alto and tenor and all those kinds of things. And then so they what they do is it creates a coherence in the vibration. So as I'm describing it, if you did this with your hands or just even maybe just watching the video, you can feel that you can feel the colors that they emit. You can feel the richness and the
texture.
It is the texture and the vitality that they carry, because it actually is physical stuff, just like this shirt or tissue or whatever it is. This is a physicality to it, because it may not be as recognizable to us where we are right this moment. Some of it, yes, and some of it not at all, and some of us kinda. But it's the stuff of what all is created from.
Yeah.
And we're, haven't you heard the phrase, have you come here, have you been singing the song you've come here to sing?
Yeah.
Well, I think that was on a smaller, many people hold that on a smaller thought process, but right now you're coming to sing your song, and it's unlimited, and it's infinity and beyond, and it is way beyond the fifth dimension.
Well, I'd like to just consistently get there. Let's get me out of purgatory, shall we? Shall I?
You're well on your way out. Yeah.
Well,
own that.
Well, the one last thing before we close this envelope, though, is that because I have experienced it, the very last part of what we had in the notes here, I've experienced that. I've done that where well, at the time it was rather, I thought, unintentional, and perhaps I had to do it to teach myself a thing or two. That it becomes once I was consistently in at least I was either consistently in the fourth and then sometimes in the fifth, but I was.
And I'm gonna stop you just for a second. Don't get stuck on the levels or layers, because that's an ego mind game trick, because then I'm here and I'm great, or I'm not here and I'm
not great. Yeah.
Okay, well, I I still have a little linear thing going on. So for me, it's like, okay, I was in this vibration
great,
much more, and sometimes in this one.
Great.
But there have been times that I've stepped down here.
Yeah.
And it's painful.
Yes.
And I don't like it. And that I experienced that shearing effect that you talked about. And it is physically, it's not just emotionally, because it can be emotionally painful as well, draining, and it's physically painful for me.
Yeah, it is.
And to give an example about what I mean by that, I'm hanging out in this vibration and sometimes in this vibration. And then when I'll have an experience with someone who's hanging out down here in this vibration, way down here in this one. And for whatever silly ass reason I thought I had, I stepped right down into that vibration. Because, I'm going to help you. That's what I thought. And it wasn't fun.
Right.
It was, like I said, very painful and physically painful, draining, emotionally so. And when I say draining, everyone knows how you feel emotionally when you're around a particular situation, or could be a person, could be a situation, could be a place, whatever. That's an energy draw that I experienced of my own making. I will not sit here and say that it was the situation or whatever's fault. I'm the being that decided to help, which really was not helping anyone or anything, least of all myself. Although it was a good learning experience for me, and I have since figured out how not to do that for myself anymore. But that's a very real thing, and just the noticing of that for me was huge, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm writing it down, so it's number 7 on the sheet now.
Oh. Well, it was part of it. I thought it was part of this one. So they're all intertwined. Everybody's just going to have to watch all the videos. Oh,
yeah. There's a lot to talk about. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I guess that's really, maybe I shouldn't have added that on the end, but
no, that's good. I think one thing just to add to that is that if you, when you're playing with your the energies, and if you are choosing and are committed and are actively holding the being and the doing of that higher frequency vibration, that's great. If you're not quite there yet, don't see the point, or what is this, what does it matter, that'll become very evident to you very quickly here.
Okay.
And when if you're using this conversation as an illustration, which is part of the purpose, other than us playing together, because we like it even if no one ever watches it. So.
That's thank you. And that's the whole point for me.
Right. So if you can recognize and see this as an illustration, oh well, yeah, I got that, that kind of that feeling of the seesaw and all that kind of stuff. If you are either by choice or by default playing with the doubt and I'm crazy, or people will think I'm crazy, or whatever, and you're going down, right? That would be something to really pay attention to, because you do it. You are the creator. You do this. And if you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, right? Then you're actually are choosing that. And you're now then attracting more of it, because you're calling more of it to you, because you're hooking more of it in. So you're locking yourself into that. And if that's working for you, great. If not, perhaps choose to play in a different way.
Well, that actually brings for me a saying that a lot of folks in the spiritual and new age community say about letting go of things that no longer serve. And so that kind of falls under that category for me.
Yeah.
If my goal and my trajectory is to move upward and play in energies that feel good and bring myself more of that which makes me feel good and makes me that I desire, that makes my heart sing, then I'm not interested in swimming around in the energy that will just bring more of the same.
Right.
And so,
and right now, as things are being revealed, if you feel tempted to go grab a pitchfork or a gun, or to have vitriol come out of you and have judgments and all that kind of stuff, if you want to do it for a few minutes and you want to play with that, that's fine, because that's part of the integration process, and certainly understandable. But holding on to it and really getting behind all of that is a serious disservice, at the very minimum, to you.
Yeah.
Because it will not have the intended consequences that you think it has.
No.
It's not going to do anything to someone out there.
Right.
Okay? Because it's an inside job.
Yep.
So that's just something to... And from my own perspective, I'll share absolutely specifically my own perspective. I will not allow anything, absolutely anything, to dissuade me from continually expanding more and more and more, and playing full on in the most joyous, leaping ways with what I know to be the truth of who I am. Yeah. And do I understand and hold a perspective and a deep first account knowing of some of the horrific things that are out there? You bet I do. Absolutely. But even more so, I'll say, I won't be taken down a path that will go that, because it's done.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You created it to the absolute furthest reach, beautifully done, in all the roles that all played, and it's coming to completion now.
Yeah, agreed. For me, my biggest frustration in all of that has been just, Not for those that are that all this revealing is about. It's for those that aren't noticing. There's my frustration. Wake the fuck up. I'm sorry. Yeah,
A little frustrated. Yes.
Yes, I went swimming in the frustrated frequencies over the last few days. But I'm going back up here because I don't. That's no.
Yeah, and a great way to clear more within you. So what is it that's really, because that frustration actually is reflecting off of it's my sense at this moment in time, it's just a tiny piece of a fragment of frequency vibration within you that is a match to that. And so that's why it's particularly frustrating, annoying, irksome, and I'll leave the other unclean phrases that laid up for you there, because you recognize that there is a frequency vibrational match, that's stuck on my shirt. I can't get it off.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Because you're right. If there wasn't something for it to match up to, it wouldn't frustrate me that way.
Yeah. So celebrate that and say, great, okay. Oh, if I stop pulling at it and rubbing it in and embedding it in the fabric of me, right, I can just carefully brush it off and it's, gone. And you can still look at that now that's external, but it won't have that same kind of effect on you. And because I know we were going to close this envelope, but this is just coming to me, so I'm going to say this one thing.
Okay.
So you are clearing things for yourself, for each individual being that we are, you are.
Yeah.
You also will then clear for collectives. Now, it could be the whole collective. It could be a collective that's a familial collective. It could be familial of birth. It could be familial of your choice. It could be in a work thing. So there's lots of different collectives.
Right. Sure.
That never mind the soul level and soul families and all that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about the linear level here. And as you keep making up jumps, wherever those up jumps are, whatever you may label those up jumps as, right? So, but you make them. Occasionally you will find, okay, this is a whole nother video, but you will find that as you raise the vibration, there not only is there much less tolerance for being disrespected. You mentioned it a little bit, Sheila, and that plummeting down in the energy, frequency, vibration, but it will, and maybe make note of this, and we'll do this as another one, but it will trigger you or light you up to such an extent that you will have this atavastic reaction to it of such enormous proportions. And I speak of it because I just did this the other day, and it was one of those things where I was fully in it, fully doing it, watching myself going, wow, you're really pissed off. Look at you, you're shaking, you're so mad, and all these kinds of things. It was hurt, and it had to do with dead brother and family thing, and all that, but so I could see and experience it from all different levels and be right there, and yeah, that's nice, but don't bother me with that crap right now, because right. But what it was a very, so for me, my being personally, for the familiar thing and a larger collective thing, it was a huge clearing of of karma, of programming, of a whole different levels. And when I got to the end of it, maybe after a 7 or 8 hour period of time, was intense, and Keegan in the and Rose, the cat, decided that it was safe to come back anyway. And all snuggle down for the night. It was very rewarding, but it was, really painful and really intense. And so we do go through those kinds of things.
Yes.
But don't play in it.
Stuck there. Yeah.
Right. And don't keep chasing the tail, or if you're, whatever it is, it would be really helpful not to.
Well, no, that's very helpful. Thank you for that, because actually the frustration frequency that I was playing in the last 2 days was perhaps a bit of that. As I didn't get in it, but I did experience some pretty good frustration over it. So, interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you come to the other side of it, you can really be very elated by it, because you can see it for what it was. And that's the best, as you walk back out of it, and any kind of piles of dung that you may have thrown around when you were doing that, and you go, kind of clean them up. You can do it in such a way where now you actually can exude, exhibit, flow, shower the predominant higher frequency vibration that you really are at, and rising from, right? Without trying to sell anything, without just say, take 100% responsibility, accountability, and liability for that, and then move forward, which is what, part of what I did, and not expect anybody else to be at that level, recognize that, or have the capacity at that moment where they are to do that.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that was very helpful. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome. Lisa, anything you want to say?
Thank you. This was really a wonderful conversation. I enjoyed it so much.
I know, me too.
Yes, it was beautiful.
As always, I love you ladies, and I love our conversations. And
me too.
Very fun.
Yes, I love the playing.
Me too.
Okay, so we will have links to BZ's blog at the IUV, and also Lisa's two blogs, Heart Song Musings and Rush Solutions, Tools for Transformation. And of course, we'll have a link to Conscious Conversation Central Facebook page and my email address. If you'd like to be a part of the PPC squad, which is the Puzzle Piece Collecting Squad, that's what that email address is. Just put add me in the subject line. And because I don't know, I'm hoping to maybe at some point have a blog myself. And also, you just never know when we might be doing some really cool live stuff. And I'd like to be able to invite folks. So that's it for this time. Thank you, ladies.
Love.